And your event is starting. You know, isn't it really nice how it's talking to us like this? Hey, it says we're live.
Hi.
Live from Houston, Texas, in the downtown heat wave, Ginger Cook, Monday YouTube, and we haven't decided on a name yet. Hi, Ginger.
Hi, John. Hi, everybody. Hi. Thanks for
Whoa.
hanging in.
One of us has got their volume up on their computer.
Who's that?
All right. Please start again.
Hi, John.
Hi, Ginger. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you, John? Are you doing okay?
Well, I think I'm doing all right. We'll see.
People have no idea all the buttons John has to push to get this show on the road, so to speak, you know? I mean, there's a lot that goes on. This can't be done easily with one person. It takes two full people to put one of these live shows on.
Two full people and a bear.
Yeah, and it's it's complicated. For instance, the cameras have been color balanced. That when you look at our colors, you're seeing what I would call John Little True Color, which is really kind of neat. And he's got the cameras where you can see the palette, and he's zoomed in. There's a lot. What we do on a live show, for those of you who are new and just chatting and say, who are these crazy people with the bears and talk and so forth? It's not an animal show. It probably sounded like that in the beginning. We're actually, though, we are going to be painting a peacock, and that'll be fun. And I had originally shown this to people. I wasn't going to turn it into a lesson. We got all kinds of emails saying, do the peacock, do the peacock. So we said, okay, so we're going to do the peacock. This is what you call a stylized painting. Now that's a little different. It's a little different than an abstract, a little different than realism. Okay, so I want to talk to you. It's a little different than impressionism. It's called stylized. And you see a lot of stylized art in greeting cards. You'll see stylized art in art licensing. Here's an example. Here's a painting that you see of this chimpanzee.
I love that one.
Now this is what you'd call almost photorealism. All right, this is a lesson that you could buy and download. It's on our website. It's not one of our members' lessons. If you haven't done this and even you're a member, this is when you get a discount if you're a member at gingercooklive.gallery. But you can buy this. This is a really interesting. We show you how to grid this, and really this is what we call like photorealism. All right. Now I just want to show you some different ideas. Now before we get to the peacock. Now this lesson here,
Slide it that way a little bit.
So do I have it turned right like this?
No, you have it right. No, you had it right, but I need you to slide over a little bit.
Like this?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to leave this up for a minute. I love this. This is a key. And again, this is kind of a cross between photorealism and impressionism. This is one of my favorite pieces. Now this one, it's a brand new lesson for our members at gingercooklive.gallery. Every week they get a new lesson. Sometimes it's a very beginner lesson, like what we call a 1 cookie. Sometimes it's a 2 cookie. This one would be probably a 3 cookie lesson or above. All right, but this is a great lesson in learning values and shadows and how to get a 3D effect with your artwork. Now our peacock, on the other hand, okay, now I'm going to show you the peacock. Our peacock, on the other hand, I'll bring this up like this. Kind of like this. All right, you see all the colors. Now, it's not a realistic looking peacock, but it's got some beautiful colors. I think it's a real sort of extravaganza of colors.
Ooh, I love that word.
And this will be fun to paint. And I think one of the things that it's sort of nice is this is layers of colors. Again, it's not impressionism. This is more what we call stylized artwork. And the thing that's sort of nice is that when you're an artist and you're doing something like stylized artwork, is that it's kind of a no-fault thing. I mean, if you did a little different than mine, who would know, right? I mean, could be anything. I mean, you could do it in all different colors and it wouldn't matter. It allows your own creativity to come out a little more, all right? So, if you just tuned into our channel, we invite you to subscribe and check us out, and which we appreciate you doing. And let's move our camera down to the table. Are we at the table now, John?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we're down to the table, and John Little is our executive producer. He's the genius behind our website, gingercooklive.gallery, and we have a really amazing art school online, and over 300 lessons. Can you imagine? We've done over 300 lessons, which we've left up there from very beginning to very advanced lessons. John keeps track of all that. It's really interesting because, technology changes. Just for us uploading here on YouTube, technology changes. You guys know what I'm talking about. You just think you know how to run your computer, and then some moron in I'm sorry, this is how I really feel about it, says, let's upgrade this. And then suddenly you can't send emails anymore. Your Firefox doesn't work, or, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? It's always a challenge, okay? So let's not make this a challenge though. We're doing a. I said it was. What did I say it was on Facebook? I said
You
totally
said it
wrong.
was a
16 by 10 by 16.
10
I
by
think.
16.
But
That's
it's actually a 20 by 8 by 20. But that would work too. It's just the long skinny canvas. Okay, that's what you need. And what I've done is I've painted this one gold, like yellow oxide. See, that's pure yellow oxide color. All right, and it's dried. So that's what I've done. And then what I want to do is I'm going to show you. We're going to take up some chalk, and we're going to we're going to draw it on the canvas, and then we're going to do a little interesting blue background here. Then we're going to just start methodically laying in this bird pattern. This is a really colors that are layered. You ever played that game where one person puts their hand on top of somebody else? That's kind of what we're doing with all the colors. It's interesting. It's really a symphony of colors in this, and they're all they're very complementary. Complementary colors are where they're opposite each other on the color wheel. Okay, so what is the complement of turquoise? It's orange, and you see the little bits of orange in here. So I would say that mostly it's all in the blues, and then a little tiny bit of yellow. We've got some orange and purples and so forth. And we're mainly using the colors we're using tonight are white, yellow oxide, cad yellow medium, dazzling purple, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue. Maybe we'll use burnt umber. I'm not sure about that one. Cad red medium and some sort of magenta. Okay, those are the colors. Now someone says, how come you don't list those out in front? Because pretty much those are the colors we use all the time, you guys. We actually have a video on the colors we use, and we try to just keep it really simple. We can mix anything pretty much with our standard colors. So that being said, are there any questions before I get started?
No.
Okay. So again, this is what we're going to cover tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, push that little button so you're where we're going to be doing some live things. In the States, it's the 4th of July weekend. In Canada, it was their centennial year, bicentennial, something, whatever it was.
150 years.
150 years for them. I don't even know what the word is for that.
Centennial, something like that.
Centennial something or other for those guys, right? But it's 150 or whatever they're celebrating, and everybody else is just, we're cheering for them, right? So let's start by measuring here. And we're not doing a traceable for this. This is too easy. You can't screw this up, all right? So we're going to come down about 4.5 inches like this from the edge, and we're going to put a mark like that. And then I want to go, I'm just going to mark on this and just wipe it off, all right? So you see
Let's tell people there's no show tomorrow.
Yeah, we're not going to have a show tomorrow night. We are going to we're going to show you a video that we will put up Wednesday for you that's pre-recorded. All right, so there's 4.5 inches, right? Like that. See that? So if I were to take my line like this, just 4.5 inches both sides, right? All right, you with me? And I'm just going to draw a line straight up and down like this. You ready for this? There. Okay. Now, what do I know? Well, I know that 4.5 inches is straight up. It takes me straight through the eye of this bird. So if I were to say that the head of my bird is about 1 inch from the top, okay? All right, there's the head of my bird. And the back side of his neck is about 2.25 inches in the middle from the side here like this. If I were to make the letter C, come on, you all know how to make the letter C, like that, and curve it like this. This is pretty much the curve we want for the neck. See that? That's really pretty simple, okay? Now, at the choke point of the neck right here, it's not very wide. Now, let me just measure from there to there. Let me just do that down for you. That's about 2 inches down from here. Okay, and that's what, about 3/4 of an inch down. So I'm just going to make a little inward curve like that, like this. Okay, so there's our curve. Now we're going to make a circle here where the head is, and then kind of make a cone that's going out this way, and the beak kind of curves down. Now that's pretty simple, right? And then if you want to, you can kind of adjust your curve here a little bit. That's why you use chalk, because you can erase it. That's your curve. Now what happens? Well, if we come at the end of this, we're coming 7 inches from the end of our canvas like this, and I'll just show you. 7 inches from the end of our canvas like this. This is one of the easiest ways to learn how to draw something on, okay? All right, now here's my straight up and down line, which I'm just going to put right here, just so I can see it, right? Here's my straight up and down line here. So I'm just going to curve up like this and say that there's the, the rest of this is pretty much birdie. This is all birdie.
That would be the birdie's tushy.
Yeah. So, all right. I mean, that's pretty simple, right? So what are we going to do first? Well, what we ought to do is make. Let's just color in the background that we know we're going to want. All right. We've got this gold, and this is pretty much our pattern. So, I could probably first off, I'll tell you what. Let's just take a little phthalo blue, and let's just come around here like this. A little bit of water on the brush, tiny bit phthalo blue. And we're just going to make it straight. And you'll notice I'm going to make it a little bit narrower than what I had it, because my chalk's kind of wide, a little fat. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint in my neck, like curve, okay? Like that. This is really simple, okay? Like this. And then as we come around to the top of the head here, like this, remember it's going to come like that. And someone says, what brush are you using? This is a number 4 round from Restylon brushes. Okay, and they're made by the Silver Brush Company. Cinnamon, my daughter Cinnamon, the archer made me aware of these. Now, after we finish the circle, we're going to go down into a little bit of a triangular cone here and stop. The rest of the beak is going to be orange. There's no point in painting over that. All right. So there. This is all that. Now I'm going to change brushes.
Dominic's asking, you wouldn't do the background first?
We are. I just wanted to just at least get a sense of where this was going to go, you know, with the curve of
just your basic.
I'm just getting my basic.
This is your underpainting for your birdie.
Yeah, this is the underpainting for the birdie. So that, you know, I just did, yeah, there you go, something like this. Now we can easily make adjustments, but there's the. So I've got this round brush. Now I'm going to take some titanium white, like that, and a little tiny bit of cad yellow medium, make this sort of pretty turquoise color. Now what we're going to do is just making little circles like this. I'm going to just come around using the round brush. This works pretty well like this. The side of this brush, and just come right up into here like this. Maybe I'll leave a little room for the beak like that. Okay. Now, you could use a bigger round brush too. You could use one like this. So I think it's kind of nice to be on these small things to be able to get close in. You can also use a bright brush too. Let's see. I wouldn't use my best bright brush I own, but you know, brushes wear out, as you well know. And so, for instance, maybe I'd use one like this that's not so perfect anymore. Can you zoom in on this brush and show why I might use it? Here's a brand one that's newer. It's got a chiseled edge, and this one is less. It's kind of worn out the bristles. So if I use it's a little more fuzzy. And so if I took a brush like this, for instance, just some phthalo blue now, came up like this, and said that this was and then use the side of the brush is kind of what I like to do. And then I like to mix as I go. So maybe here's a little more, yellow in the blue like this will come up. The trick is you want to, you want to mix up the color blues. All right, there's a lot. So this had a little ultramarine blue, so I'm going to come over here with that. See, I'm going to come this way. But then I've got some of this other turquoise here, like that. There's my corner. Now we'll just come around here like this. And just using the side of your brush, you don't want a striped tie or anything. You want all this to be out of focus. And this really has, and some of your yellow can show through. That's pretty, the gold. That's why you did it, okay?
Now what is that undertone that we used? That was just
yellow oxide. That was just yellow oxide.
Straight out of the tube.
Just straight out of the tube. Yeah, it's pretty simple. All right, yellow oxide straight out of the tube. Okay, so now I want to come here with a little white and phthalo blue. Again, a little bit of cad yellow medium. Here's this little turquoise color. And I want to come close to my bird like this.
Would you recommend doing this on a smaller canvas?
You certainly could. You certainly could. Where you're going to like the big ones is that you certainly could do this on any kind of size canvas. And again, how much if you did the feathers would determine, the size of your canvas. You could do it, I would have loved to have done one even vertically, but you can see our camera we don't really See, I mean,
Oh,
there's
I
not
could,
really
but
room
it's-
to do that on the way our camera set up. I would have had to have the whole camera setup moved to an easel, but this would have been pretty, is a vertical too, but maybe designed slightly differently. I saw these, you know, I think we bought these canvases at Michael's, and what I thought was neat about them was that they had this interesting shape. And sometimes it gets a little boring to use the same, you know, rectangles over and over again. So a canvas like this can be very pretty. Now we want to get more into the greens here, okay? So let's take a little phthalo blue and yellow and make more of a green color, okay? And let's just come into here like this. I want to get some green colors going down into here. And again, use the side of your brush and sort of blend all this out. Now maybe we'll just do blue and white again. You want to keep changing the colors. Come down in here so that it's, I think it's a cacophony. Do you love that word? It's a cacophony of all these different shades of blues and greens, and it's like clouds. But we've got a great video on YouTube, one we put up years ago with all the old camera stuff. But it's all in, it's just how to do this whole technique for still lifes and everything. I think it's all in browns, but it's the same idea. All right, so I'm going to come up here and add a little bit more ultramarine blue. See that? A little bit darker up here. Use the side of the brush to kind of pull that in. Now, what else could I do here? I probably would need a smaller brush to get much closer than that. The big one was nice for, you know, the bigger areas, but I want to get close to the head here. I'll use a smaller brush like that, okay? And now I'm going to sit there and I'm looking at my picture, and I think I've got to move him somewhere where I can see him. You've got to forgive me here. I've got to move him somewhere. Should turn him up. You have a picture of him, John, somewhere up there?
I do not as of yet. I'm going to see if I can grab one.
All right, so I'm going to move, I'm going to just widen his neck up like this and bring his head up a little bit. Now that I see his shape that I want better, okay? So, and then I'm going to just kind of bring his head, make his head a little bigger. Come around like this. We'll make some adjustments. Again, this is, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it is kind of nice if you've got this good curve going. Now, what I put with him was I took a little purple right here. Ooh, here's a little purple. And put that right there. Made that a little darker. Now, do I have that too wide? I think I do. So here, I'm going to just show you how to change colors as you go. Here, I'm just going to trim this down a little bit because that was too wide. And that's easy to do. I can just use the side of the brush now and just take that part and blend it in. I think in one I had green, but you can come back and change colors next to it. And let's see, let's just bring this up a little bit. And it's good practice to just sort of freehand something like this in and see how you do with it. Just come a little closer to the beak here like that, okay? All right, so now what about the rest of the bird? Well, what we want to do is, it's probably, to me, the way I did it originally was I just had all one color. I think probably what I want to do is just for the sake of making this easier to paint, so we're not constantly painting and drawing and so forth, rather than layering it up. Let me get a little piece of chalk here. And what we want to do is, we know that about this far, which is about this far, about here to this far like this, okay, about this far.
About like yay.
Well, I don't know, it's like about 4 fingers from here, okay? So we're going to start there. Now I'm going to start with some ovals, okay? So I'm going to start layering in some ovals. And there, look at this is going kind of in this direction. This is going this direction. I want you to see, if I were to draw some lines like this, down like this, I mean, that will help you, okay? So that I know that, like back here, these are bigger, okay? So let me just move that. Back here, these are bigger. These ovals are bigger, okay? And they're kind of staggered. Maybe there's part of one here. Here's a big one. Now I've got one here. Here's an oval. So I'm going to start layering in these ovals, okay? Like that. And as I get closer to the actual head of the animal, or our peacock, the ovals are going to get a little smaller. And you know, again, you've got some leeway here, So this is, again, this is what we call a stylized painting. We've got some of the ovals coming right off the edge of the canvas, like that. And just say there's another one here. If you don't like kind of how you have it laid out, then just erase one, put another one, like that. You know, kind of space them out in a way that you think is interesting. Don't get too perfect. If you get caught up in making each oval too perfect, you're not going to have any fun with this, all right? This is a fun painting. This is all about color, okay? Because again, we're talking about stylized. We're not talking about realistic painting. So now we're just sort of going to fill in these spaces like that. All right, so there. So you see how I've got some going this way, this way, this way. Now some are turning down that toward here, like that. So, all right, so that works for me. I know what those are. Now, what can I do with these? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is put out some more white paint, because I've contaminated that all with blue, and this is mixing white. So let me start with a new pile of white paint somewhere, like that. We're going to take a little white and yellow, like that. This is just cad yellow medium. And the first thing we're going to do is paint our ovals yellow. So I hope everybody had a great holiday weekend. John and I had, it was, those of you who may not know it, it was my daughter's birthday the 1st. So we all went out to, there's a place in Houston called the Aquarium. It's been there for about 12 years, and it's a giant, really like any kind of aquarium you'd see at any kind of zoo. I mean, it's a fancy aquarium inside a restaurant. I mean, it's really, there were fish that were bigger than my grandkids. In fact, most of them were bigger than the kids. And they had been so well maintained. And John had gotten a special birthday package for Cinnamon. And the first thing they did is, we didn't know what to expect. We got there about 11. And I mean, it was very fun. There were little valet parking. John doesn't usually like people to drive his car, but you know, the kid that was in charge of the valet said yes, that he could. There was no parking anywhere. This is downtown Houston. I said, you're going to have to valet park it. And I think there was $2 difference to valet it or park it yourself, and it was like 100 degrees out. So let the guy park the car, you know. I mean, just let him park it. But as it turned out, you see how I'm kind of ad-libbing as we're talking. I put some there, but as I paint them in, I kind of change where I thought I'd like them to go, too. So anyway, so we got in there, and then we went up the stairs. I'm just the nicest restaurant, and this big, the whole inside circle part of the restaurant with the tables all the way around the outside edge of it. This giant aquarium went up 3 floors, you know, down and up. So we were on the middle floor, and Cinnamon got these great big bouquet of beautiful balloons, which we thought was really kids. And the 3 grandkids were there, and John's mom, and then you know, John, you know, Cinnamon's husband John, and us were there. Okay, so all right. So let's just keep going with our circles as we go, as we're talking, because I mean, circles are kind of boring. I mean, once you've seen me paint in a circle, I mean, how interesting is that really? So you see what we're doing, but notice I keep getting paint for each one. I don't do a couple and keep getting paint. So anyway, so after, you know, it was, you know, hang happy birthday and all the stuff you do when you eat out at a restaurant, and the word's out, it's your birthday, you know how that is. And so anyway, the upshot of it is that they had signed up for some sort of fancy, meet sloth.
Meet a sloth.
Meet a sloth. So
up close and personal.
Up close and personal. So we had this real cute girl. She was probably about 25 or 26, I'd guess, in her little ranger outfit. And she was in charge of the sloth, and it was in a special room upstairs. And the lady that took us up there had a fancy key that only she could operate for the banquet hall upstairs, and where the sloth was being
From
held.
the elevator.
On the elevator. When we went into the elevator and got the fancy key. I mean, it was big time here. And, and then they had this darling fat little sloth. Oh, what did he say? About the size of, say, a beagle, maybe, dog.
Probably a beagle.
About a beagle dog, and he was hanging with his little slothy arms upside down on the tree. And we had about, I guess, about 40 minutes with the sloth, and everybody got to feed him little bits of lettuce and fruit. He was very slow. You guys would like him. It was really cute. You can't pet them. They're not big fans of that, but the kids were very respectful and had lots of questions. What did we learn about a sloth that we thought was so interesting?
They live their entire life upside down.
Yeah, that's what
that would drive me nuts.
Yeah, upside down, the entire life, you know, just And our heart's in a different place than most animals, so it can pump the blood to their brain while they're upside down. And they swim, and they live most of their lives up in this big tree canopy, except when they come down to poop.
Yeah, they don't use the bathrooms from the air.
No, they don't just drop it off the edge of the branch, which I would think would be extremely convenient.
I would think so too.
Hang
But
your
they
butt
go
out
through,
over the cliff. No,
but they use the facilities once a week.
once a week they climb down this big tall tree. How tall were the trees? Big giant trees.
Yes, she says they usually live in the 75 to 100-foot area. Up,
Yeah.
away from all the predators.
Away from all the predators.
What brush are you using right now? Is this your quarter
This is my
or 3/8?
put the glasses on so I can see. What is this? 3/8, I think.
Looks like 3/8.
Yeah. So
3/8 quarter or 3/8 angle. Ruby satin.
Ruby satin silver. I love these brushes. You'll see me do. Once I discovered these brushes, you'll see. I used to use just brights, but once I discovered these really good angle brushes, I pretty much use my do the whole thing now with angle brushes. All right, now see how I'm getting these in? Oh yeah, that was really interesting about the sloth. And then they get they're grown-ups when they're like what'd they say, about 2-3 years old, they're grown up?
Yeah.
And he was big. And they live by themselves. Apparently they get together once in a while because there's more sloths, but they're very slow at it. But
I get it. He was cute though. He did not smell. He was well
and
taken
fat,
care of.
I'm telling you what. And of course everybody you got this, but that was, I think the kids, that was the highlight of the birthday. I just thought what a clever idea. The one thing I'll say about Cinnamon's husband is he comes up with the best ideas for family events. He really does. He finds out these things. I think the last time we were at this restaurant was Mother's Day in 2004. This kind of fancy place, right? We all remembered it because both moms were there. Remember, it's not like we eat there all the time. And anyway, it was just interesting. Okay, so now we've got this, right? Everybody's good with this? We've got this, and this can be drying. Yeah?
It can be drying. It looks great.
It looks pretty good, right? And you see, this wasn't hard to do, right? We were all just chatting and doing that. Now, what we want to do now is sort of let all that just sit. So we'll work on the rest of the bird. So let's take a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow and phthalo blue, but mostly yellow and white. And let's take a tiny bit of magenta, like less than 1%, and add to that. We're going to change that blue color, okay? Now, magenta will change that because red is opposite. Here's the deal. Why would magenta work? Well, red is opposite green on the color wheel, all right? So why this works is that when you take a tiny bit of red and you put it to green, you tone it down, okay? So it becomes more subtle. It grays it. So magenta will do the same thing, and you get a totally, you get that soft green, kind of blue-green color. So I think what I want to do is just use my color like this, using the same angle brush like this. I'm going to just come up like this. Now let me see if I like that. There's not enough contrast, so what we're going to have to do first is we're going to have to take a little bit of phthalo blue and white color, and let's just paint this part in this color. We need something to put that on. Does that make sense? The gold is not enough of a contrast. I'm going to come up here like that. A little bit of white, a little bit of phthalo blue. And this is phthalo blue green shade, in case you're wondering. I'm just going to paint right over what we just did, and we'll put it back, okay? Now, when we come out to this part, oh, that's pretty. Now, when you get up to here, what I want you to do is just use the edge of your little angle brush like this and make some little random, kind of staggered little feather marks like this into the bird like this, up on his neck like that. That's pretty, isn't it? There. Oh, nice. Yeah. And let's come back like this, and let's take a little bit of the dark blue now. That's just the phthalo blue like this, and come around the outside edge. And let's take, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take this brush and we'll just come out like that and make these little long feathery strokes that way. I like that. And let's come this way and we'll make some long, let's take some of this darker blue now. Let's get into the dark here, more of the ultramarine blue, and let's just come this way with these long feathery strokes this way. Okay. This is a very kind of relaxing painting to do, because if you do it slightly different than mine, since I made it up anyway, who would know? You can make it up and yours can look, and it'll still be fine. You just want to kind of try to focus on these brush strokes, directions, and colors, all right? This is what you want to kind of be able to do. And one thing I'm going to do is, I'm looking at this now, I'm going to shorten the beak on him. I think I'm going to take his beak out and put it in later. Because I think I had the beak too long. So I'm just going to I'm not happy with the beak, so I'm just going to cut it down a little bit. There you go. And then when I put the beak in, I'll like it. Here's a little mixing white. I'm going to just use the brush in a circular fashion, blend all these backgrounds in to each other. Very pretty. All right. Oh, so that's nice. Now what? Well, we can take a little bit of that ultramarine blue, that rather phthalo blue color, and come on up here like this, and put some of these little dark bits in here, just in the light blue like that. Just a few little dots like that, nothing too crazy. Like that. We can let all that go. And let's take a little ultramarine blue. That'll be really dark. Look at that, see? We'll do a little bit of that, like that.
Do you remember the sloth, when they were swimming, they swam, they did a doggy paddle.
Yeah, the soft doggy paddle.
Yeah, so it'd be on their tummies and not on their backs.
All right, so back to my phthalo blue and kind of a little bit of that yellow color. I want a little bit lighter up here on his neck, right where he makes the curve like this. Just right in here, we're going to lighten this. But I want the dark outline. Now here's the trick. Wipe your brush off like this. Pinch your brush. Get in the habit of doing that. And then take the paint you've got and work that in. You see what I'm doing? Take the paint you've got and kind of work that in. Now we're going to take a little bit of white and purple, and right up in here like this, we'll take a little bit of that. Now pure purple. Now this will be our second coat of that. Now we're going to kind of work that in like this on the neck, like that, with a little bit of this purple coming around like that. Okay. All right, that's working. Now, one of the things you've got to watch for when you're painting something like this is, see how this color and this color are too close to the same value. And what we mean by that is, if they were, if we took a black and white photo, this would be hard, this wouldn't read well. So what you got to do now is you've got to lighten up this color right here next to the bird if you want the bird to show up. Whenever you want something to show up, you're going to have to make something either lighter or darker than something else. And this is the advantage of having a background like that. Now, obviously, you don't want that little half moon sort of blob there, right? So how do you fix that? I mean, this is a great, really a great lesson for that, because I probably shouldn't have used that green, but that's okay. So I'm going to just, this is my next layer. This is my next layer of blue. Does that make sense? And I'll switch brushes again, use that round one, because I needed a small one to get right next to there. Now I'm just going to the side of the brush like this, and I'll come back with a second layer of color, and I'll just put this background in. You can, once you have a background like this, you can melt any color into another color, literally. See how this is lighter now next to them? And if I wanted it lighter still, maybe I'll just take a little yellow, put it right next to that. Okay, now what is opposite purple on the color wheel? Does anybody remember? Okay, it's yellow. So, you know, even though it had a little purple in there, so that can be very effective too. Another color, this is another color you could have used if you didn't have this, would be phthalo green would have been pretty in this. Phthalo green, so not a color I buy a lot of, but you certainly could have used that phthalo green. It would have been very nice. I think I like a little bit more of this kind of gold color around his, kind of green around his head. But again, this is personal preference. Just make sure that you don't have little spots of color. Blend it all out. It's good practice. Just blend it all out so that you enjoy your contrast, okay? Now that's good. We've let that dry a little bit. So now we could have used a brush like this, just a round brush. And remember how we made that sort of light green color with phthalo blue and a little bit of white and yellow, okay? Now we can come around like this using just a little round brush and use that as the brush strokes and kind of overlap like this, okay? Then just This is hard for you socks folders because there's no you're making up the pattern kind of as you go, okay?
Yeah,
What
I'm stressing over this.
All right, so what you want to do though is see, I'm really aware of the direction, how the brush direction is fanning out like this, okay? It's not all going straight or it's not going down. The brush direction on this makes a big difference, all right? Just saying, okay? And this is all about layers, all right? And some of that gold even is showing underneath, okay? Oh, that's neat, isn't it? That's pretty. Okay, now we also have in this, you see all the pinks and stuff? Can't really do that. All right, can't do that yet because that's not dry enough to play with that. But I think there was a little tiny bit of this light green up here in a couple places, just like that, going up the neck, like that. So we could do that. That's pretty. Probably going to like this one better even than that other one. Now, you see me wipe the brush off on, on a terry cloth rag every time I twist it. Now I'm going to take a little bit of white, and I want to come up here into the head. This is dried enough. And I want to put a little almond-shaped eye in, like this. And now I'm just going to say that here's my beak, and I'll just put him in like that. There you go. Okay, there's my almond-shaped eye. Okay, there's my beak. It might be a little bit longer than I made it here. Let's look out. Here you go. Bye. All right, so there's our beak. Now, what about our yellows? Our yellow's dry. Okay, so if the yellow's dry, let's go on with our next color. So let's take a little bit of yellow and Cad Red Medium. And now let's just come around here like this. Maybe just more, probably a little more orange than I have right there, like that. And do like a V color. It's almost like an upside down V in here, like this. Now this doesn't take long, you guys. Okay, I mean there's no absolutely, someone says I can't keep up with you, but once you get the pattern down, this is just this round brush. See, we're doing that. A little bit more of the orange color. Okay, like that. I'm going to do this. Peacocks are sure beautiful. We had a neighbor when I was a kid. Well, actually, when Cinnamon was a kid, not when I was a kid. Cinnamon grew up in Southern California, and we had a neighbor that had these things. And have you anybody ever heard the noise that these birds make? It sounds like somebody's, the screaming. It can be heard for miles.
Yeah,
it sounds like someone's being knifed and murdered, almost like the word rape. It's just incredible. They're very pretty. Not fun to be neighbors to. In fact, one time one of them came over and escaped and got on the roof of our house, but we called them up and they came and got it.
Lynn would like to know, could we put a darker underpainting for the feathers?
Yeah, you could have done, for instance, a dark blue underpainting for the feathers. Would have worked fine.
And Sandra's asking, how about cadmium orange? I got one, but I find it very bright.
Well, I like cadmium orange. I think that wouldn't be a terrible color to do. Cadmium orange would be pretty. Remember,
if you wanted to tone it down a little bit, what would she throw into it?
Oh, well, remember that purple grays orange.
So there you go.
So you could, if it was a little bit too bright.
If it's too bright for you, touch of purple.
Just like very little, like, kryptonite. Very little. Okay, now look, that didn't take long, did it? And all those little colors were in there? I mean, honestly, okay, and as long as I'm playing with that color, is this dried enough? Could I put a little bit of that color, I think a little bit brighter, maybe, here, like in here like this, add a little bit of this, just weave that color. Remember, this is really color weaving at its best when you're just doing this a little bit. Okay, there's a little bit of that color in there. And I think I'll put a little more yellow with it. There, this is, I almost want to layer it there like that. See the little bit of color just on the tip. You got to actually use some paint. Now, where this isn't going to be as bright for you is if you're using, a student grade paint. You won't get as bright of colors because the colors aren't as bright. All right, so now let's take some white and magenta. That's pretty. Oh, look at that color. Isn't that great? Now let's just come along here like this. Add a bit of that color to these. Even coming on the outside a little bit. Okay, a little bit of this color in here like this. and they don't have, doesn't have to be everywhere. Okay, a little bit of the magenta.
Carrie's
like that.
asking, so I guess my question would be, do I need to get the 2 different types of phthalo blue, or is the one from Golden okay?
Oh, the only reason that we, look, Liquitex really annoys me. Everybody else just calls it phthalo blue, and then they went off and they got phthalo blue green shade and phthalo blue red shade. Everybody else just calls it phthalo blue, and that's the one we're all using, right? But I have to mention the Liquitex because they did that. When I first started painting with Liquitex, they didn't do that. This was just some, I don't know. I guess it's like going to the makeup counter and they have, lipsticks, and every year they somehow manage to come. How many shades of red are there? But they come up with new names for them, for lipsticks.
Got to get you to buy something new.
Because they're trying to get you to buy stuff, and obviously they're in business for you to buy stuff. All right, so I'm putting a little of this color here, and again, we're just I can come back too, and add a little bit of that, like that.
So do we want to buy both, or just get the blue?
Just get the phthalo blue from Golden.
Done with it.
Be done with it. It's just.
Don't overthink it.
Just get it. And Matisse, it's the same thing. They just make phthalo blue. Everybody else does that. Makes that.
Hey, do you happen to have the dye handy?
I have the dye handy while we're painting in all this stuff. Here, anybody interested in a little quick trivia while you're watching me paint? This is like really watching grass grow, and I'm sorry if this isn't more fun.
It is so darn close to it.
I'm sorry. Here we go. Dice, number 3 for the trivia question.
Wait. Put that dice back out there for a second.
You have a comment about my dice?
I'm trying to see if you're... Look at the paint on that.
Well, do you see my hands? Of course there's paint on the die.
Ginger.
Of course there's paint. There's paint on it. Just listen. If this is the world you live in, where this is the most upsetting thing that happens to you all day is a little paint on the dice, then you're in good shape, kid.
Go ahead and move your other painting. We've got our picture-in-picture now.
Okay, well I've got it because I need it.
Well, no, that's fine. Just get it off the top of the other one, though.
Okay, sure.
So that was a number 3. We have a win question.
A win question? Okay,
win
so we're going to put a
question.
little bit, just like we got a little bit. Here we go. A little orange on a little bit orange and yellow on our beak here. Win question, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, all right, so there's that color. See, I missed a little pink right here on this one. Okay, so if you guys are just watching us and saying, tuning in, what are you doing? Well, we have something called
Yeah, what are you doing?
we have something called an art trivia game. We like to play while we're, kind of in the slower moments of our stuff. All right, so now while waiting for all this to dry, let's just take some white here, some phthalo blue, right? Like that. And let's start bringing in some color here down around our
eyes.
Little eyes here. Just a little bit of color here. And the reason we did it this way and didn't do it blue first for the background is because yellow only paints over gold or white or something. So then we would have had, if we had done the blue background first, we wouldn't have all these little bits of gold kind of peeking underneath, right? And then the other thing we wouldn't have had would be we'd had to stop and make white circles and then dry them too. This is much better. Okay, so go ahead, John. What's our question?
Well, let's ask this question first. I find this a little entertaining. Can watercolor masking fluid be used with acrylics? And why would you want to, though?
Well, what they do in watercolor with masking fluid.
Well, I know what they do with it because I did that.
People may not, so I'm going to explain it, John.
All right.
So what they do with masking fluid, is when you're doing watercolors, a watercolor is opposite oil and acrylics, in that you have to save out every bit of white. All right. So in other words, if you want, you don't have white paint. So if you want something white, what you have to do is draw the whole thing out. This is Sock Folder's Paradise, this watercolor stuff, okay? You got to draw everything out, and then you take that masking fluid and you put it over the white areas of the canvas, and that dries it looks like almost like rubber cement. It looks like rubber cement. And then what happens is that then you go ahead and paint. And you can paint on it, and then you kind of just rub it off. And then when you rub it off, the paint is, there. So now let's just think about how that would work with acrylics and why you'd want to. For one thing, if it's dry, you just put the white back, okay? So there's no advantage to that. The other thing is that if you paint it over, it would just, you're talking about not thin. Remember, if you have a watercolor on a piece of paper and you hose it off with a hose, you're going to wash most of the paint out of that paper, even if it's dried. But acrylics, once it dries on paper, it's a done deal. It's a plastic film. So that rubber cement stuff isn't going to work. That being said, there is some stuff for people that do high photorealism animals. I mean, really, like you could almost think that there was an animal living, going to step right out of the canvas. It's so real looking. And I think I have one of those books. And that particular artist uses something similar designed for acrylics. And he does a lot of that, but it's not watercolor stuff, but something else. And I'll look it up and tell you what it is. But yes, the answer is yes and no.
That's a safe answer.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't use that, and there'd be no need to. For the most part, there's no need to. Okay? Now look, see, we've got that in there. We've got a little start with that. We're getting there.
All right, would you like your question now?
Sure, what's our question?
Could Paul Gauguin have shaken Picasso's hand?
Could Paul Gauguin have shaken Picasso's hand?
This is a simple yes or no.
Yes or no, folks.
It's not did he, it's
But
could he.
Would it have been would have been possible? I know the answer to this, but we'll let everyone else say. Right?
Yep. So could Paul shake Pablo's hand?
Okay.
Yes
Now,
or no?
I'm going to take a little bit of ultramarine now, and I'm going to mist my paint because it's starting to dry out. Okay.
Kim is asking, is there a book Ginger would recommend for beginners?
A book on acrylic painting.
I would assume so.
I have. If you go to my Pinterest page, Ginger Cook Live, all one word, because by the time I got around to Pinterest, it was, all the good, all the Ginger stuff was taken for cooking shows. And you'll scroll down the boards, you'll see books I recommend. I recommend everybody get. There's one on simple painting design I recommend everybody get, okay? All right, now as we come out from here, I think this brush is going to be too big. We're going to start with a smaller angle one like this. We're going to start putting in the small one.
Rose says no. Ivan says no. Sylvia says no. Lynn says no. Val says yes. Sharon says yes. This looks like we have a 50-50 mix on this one.
Okay, Ginger knows. How's that? Do you see where I'm using the angle brush here and I'm making these little, let me just show you real quick on the chalkboard. Do I have a chalkboard? No, I put it in the other room.
You.
Is it behind me?
Yep, behind the other side.
Other side behind me. Is it?
Your right side.
My other right side. Behind me. Ah! All right, I want to just show you the brush strokes for that. Let's see, let's clear this off. You can see where last time we used the chalkboard.
Karen says no. Kimberly says, hi, Kim. Oh, Minette says yes.
Oh. Okay, so I want to just show you what this. All right, so here's your eye like this. Now what you're doing is this. Everybody with me?
Could you put like eyelashes on it?
Yeah, like eyelashes. Doop, 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 doop. And if you had another one right here, you're going to overlap and crisscross. Okay, like this. If you had another one right here, you're going to crisscross those. Everybody's with me? Okay. That's how you're doing it. All right. So I tell you, my answer is yes.
Those of you who said yes, give yourself 1,000 points.
Haha. Okay.
And the reason is Paul died in 1903 and Picasso was born in 1881.
Okay.
So there you go.
Well, they were, they painted at the same time. Gauguin did what have you ever heard the expression, he went bamboo?
Oh, yeah.
They call that somebody going bamboo. If they go to the Hawaiian Islands or somewhere in Fiji and they just.
That's what he did.
He did. He just got over to the South Sea Islands and did some stuff. I got to see, I was in Germany one year and I got to see his artwork up close. What the little bit difference from viewing an art exhibit, at least my experience has been from the States, and viewing one in Europe. In the States, they'll have these art exhibits come through, and they've got a big fence, like a rope fence, and you can't get very close. I mean, you obviously you're standing next to it, but you're at least, I don't know, 5 feet away. When I was in Germany, they let me practically put as long as I didn't touch it, I got my nose right there on the canvas. That was so cool. I'm going to turn this upside down like this. It's too far away from where I want to be. I'm using ultramarine blue now. Just starting to paint
LeBlanc
these
would
in.
like to know, how are some painters getting their colors to be pastel looking?
Well, what's a pastel color? And pastels are lighter they're on the upside of the grayscale, so they're using more whites to mix the colors. Okay, they're not getting they're using lots of white. Okay, so once you understand how to mix colors, I think it's if you want a pastel looking palette, colors. For instance, everybody, if you go to the store, I would imagine you have colors that you wear, that you gravitate to. You just go through the clothing rack and you'll go yes, yes, no, no, and you just, you don't even have to think about it anymore. You just start rejecting as fast as you can colors that you no longer consider wearable, yeah? Well, artists have colors that you resonate with too. Everybody does. They have color palettes. Women have color palettes. There's color palettes for certain ages. Purple, generally, people that want like a lot of purple, like deep purple and black and purple and stuff like that. In a painting, if you look at, you can almost tell the age group. Then there's gender colors. Men have certain colors more often that they use. One of the fun things for a female about taking one of the old masters and copying their color palette, it might be a palette that you wouldn't gravitate toward if you were designing your own painting, and it might allow you to explore other colors. But really, anybody, pastel colors, you just you still need the contrast, and you would have to set what I would do if pastel wasn't a natural thing for you, just didn't automatically come naturally, is I would make a color chart of the colors you were going to use in my painting that were all pastel, and I would decide which is going to be my darkest color. Here's your grayscale on the color wheel right here. And I'd keep them all on this side of the grayscale, and maybe your darkest color would be over here, but everything would be over here, and you'd keep it pretty pastel. Okay? Now, I think I told you that this painting is only tedious, not because it's particularly hard, but because we're going to be layering. This is just one layer of these feathers. You see that? This is just one layer of color that's going in these feathers. But I have to get the first one on, yeah?
Cheryl would like to know, have you ever been to the Met in New York?
I have been to the Met in New York, Cheryl. I have been to the Met in New York. One year, 1987, I won the Painted Difference Liquitex contest, and I won first prize and a grand prize and 4 other first prizes of an international painting show. And 5 of my paintings won first place in the different categories. And we had a trip to New York City, all paid by Liquitex. And we had a big art show there, and they featured my artwork. And then on my free day, we went to the museum. I went up there with my husband at the time, and we each took a day that what we wanted to. The first time I'd ever been to New York. One of the funniest things I remember about that trip is you have to appreciate that. Well, there were 2 things. That we got into this hotel. Now, the Liquitex paid for our hotel and our airfare and the limousine that picked us up, and it was a big deal. Okay, it really was a big deal. And but there wasn't like a mini bar in the. I guess there was a mini bar in the. I'm trying to think. There was a mini bar, but the prices were real expensive. He wanted to get a Coke at the Coke machine down the hall in the hotel. And when he discovered they wanted, and this was 87, they wanted $5 for a Coke. He walked, I don't know how many blocks down to find a corner store that had some sodas that he could put in our little mini bar, because he wasn't going to give these people $5 for a Coke. And then the other thing I wanted to do when we were in New York that trip, because I'd never been, okay, was I wanted to see where they filmed Good Morning America, because at that time I was an avid fan. And you know how they have everybody outside and they interview people. I wanted to see that, and but do all the touristy things. Okay, now we got the blue. You guys see me with the blue here. Now we're going to go into the greens. All right, ready for that? We're going to start into the greens. Do a light green color with the phthalo blue again, so that light, pretty green color. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing. You start adding some greens in here, and you want to pinch your brush. So anyway, so we got to see. So we took a cab over there, and I just could have killed him. He goes. And I went to tip the cab driver, and he said, "How much did you give him?" And he took $2 of the dollars back from the cab driver that I tipped him. Really, honestly, I said, "Man, I can't take you anywhere. I'm going to go by myself. You have to stop doing stuff like that. I can't go anywhere with you going to act like that." Just anyway, that was a very fun. That was a fun trip, and I spent a whole day at the museum. The Met. Now the museum I haven't been to in years. I'd like to go to the one in Washington D.C. There's well, they've got a ton of them, but that would be fun too. John, is to take a trip to Washington D.C. and see not just the art museums, but all the wonderful exhibits that they have. Have you ever done that, John? Have you ever done that?
No, not since high school or elementary school. No.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. I did that when I was like 14.
Yeah.
We got to my aunt and uncle. My uncle was the Adjutant General of the Air Force, and we went to visit him in Washington D.C. Well, outside of Washington D.C. at a house, and my aunt took us in. My mother's sister took us in, and we saw all the museum, like 4 or 5 museums, and we got to meet our congressman. And when you're 14, you really don't care who your congressman is. I hate to clue you, but you just don't. I mean, like, it's a big deal. You're getting to, meet your congressman. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Great.
It's great, right? Great. Oh, we got a tour of the we got to stand in line, do the tour of the White House. That was interesting. Did all those touristy things.
Never did that.
That was fun. I mean, it's just fun to be a tourist sometimes.
My dad wants to know, did you see the Twin Towers?
I didn't. Can I tell you something awful, guys? You want to just have this is. We didn't go to Broadway shows, and I never heard of the Twin Towers till they knocked them down. And I'd been in New York. That's how off the radar that place was to me. Look at those buildings.
It's just big, tall buildings like every other building.
Well, I'm telling you, I just never saw. I mean, I'm sorry, I never saw them. I'm going to make a little bit more green here.
You're still using your angle brush for everything, right?
I'm just using my angle brush for everything, and I'm going to take a little purple now. And you just start in with the purple like this, and I'm going to start adding some more feathers here like this, and maybe some more here on the edge. Okay, maybe a little bit of purple.
It's all about layers.
It's all about layers, and people, you guys, you could do this with pens too. Okay, would be very pretty with pens. And let's see, let's take a little white with the purple, maybe a little magenta. Let's make it more of a violet. That's pretty. Let's do a little violet. I like that, don't you? So let's try that. Let's just a little violet here, add a few of these colors. Not everywhere, but just a few here and there. See, this is, again, all about layers. Make those even a little bit lighter. So, yeah, that was fun. And then I've been back to New York several times for Art Expo. I have publishers that took me, and we did that. And I've never gone to see a Broadway show. Though, they have musicals here in Houston. We're the 4th largest city in the United States. So if I really cared about that stuff, we could go here. The thing of it is that I just like movies. I just like movies. And I'm not a big person that really loves plays, okay? So.
What about the opera? Come on.
Oh, gosh. Let me just tell you how much I dislike that. And back when I was a kid, you have to understand that I was adopted by this couple. He was a Superior Court judge, and their idea of a fun afternoon was to hop off to the opera. My idea of just pure torture was to go with them. Yeah. And you'll like this. And I'm going, and why will I like this? Well, here's what the story's about, but they're going to sing the whole thing in Italian. I said, you're going to like this. And okay, we're going to put some little magenta on here now, a little bit with white magenta. You ready? So I'm thinking not so much. I'm not liking this. And I really never liked it. And I went to a very snotty private school as a kid. And of course, music appreciation, they were going to drag you. I've got a wonderful music education. It was probably wasted on me. I remember, going to these concerts, and there's absolutely nothing to do. I would have been the first kid to own an iPad or cell phone or anything and play games or something while these people, And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy the music. I just didn't have to sit there while they did it. And it went on and on. And when I went to boarding school in Switzerland, that was their idea of a fun afternoon too, was to pop over to the opera. And the only thing was that they had no, well, I discovered that you could drink in those events. There was no age limit when you're over in Switzerland. And being drunk at the opera, that's fun, right? Probably not for the opera people, but we had fun. My friends and I, that was fun, being a little drunk till we got in trouble with the, who's, right? But anyway, that was not my fun thing. All right, so I'm going to go back here. Do I have to just any more of this magenta color anywhere here like that?
Cheryl is wondering why we don't hear much about the Liquitex pens and markers. You got any ideas? I didn't even know they made them.
Yeah, I do. I just, we have to buy all our stuff. Then Liquitex isn't giving me the stuff to play with you guys, right? And I do like these Poscas. We've discovered these. One of you guys turned me on to these, and I found these at the art store. I love these for painting, for signing my name and stuff. And I would have done these in a lot of colors. And you could have done these with Liquitex markers. That would have been fine. I mean, this could have been done a lot of different ways. This is all, you know what I'm saying? You could have done this painting in a lot of different ways. Let's see. Let's put our little eye in here, in the center. Here we go. There you go. Nice eye. Ooh, that looks good, right? Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to I don't know if I'm going to put I may do one more layer of color on this background before I do it. So let's start with this green, kind of blue-green color for the center of our we got to put the eye in our out of phthalo blue. We got to put the eye in our feathers, okay? So let's see, a little bit of phthalo blue, a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow. Here we go. That's kind of nice. A little more white, kind of a phthalo blue, white, green color. So let's see, I'm going to wipe my brush off, pinch it, paint on both sides. So incidentally, the ants, yeah. So anyway, that was see there now. Here, you guys see what we're doing. Here's the turquoise going in here. And I left it, this yellow has to be dry or this will not work, okay? This is why we kind of delayed doing things. But see how pretty this is getting? See, we're starting to put this in like that. And again, there's a lot of different ways that you can, you could do this. This is just one example of some colors you could use to make this bird like that. So then a little tiny bit of, so you barely see any of this yellow once we get it going here. There's a suggestion of yellow, but you don't really see it. I missed anything here like that. That's just in the center like that, okay? And then in the center of that is like this dark blue color. So we're going to say that in the center of that, there's like this little dark eye, like that in the bird. So let's do one more trivia thing. Yeah.
Where you do all your little dots.
Yeah, that's why we're doing our little dots. Let's do another little trivia thing. Here we go. John, it is number 3 again.
What is with you and your threes?
I don't know. It's a loaded dice. You think so?
It's all that paint that's on it.
Yeah, look at my blue on my fingers. Wow. Okay.
Which of these artistic movements is older? Impressionism, Cubism, Classicism.
I know that one too. I'm feeling smart today.
Which of these artistic movement is older?
This is the art trivia question, you guys. So we not only teach you how to paint, but we educate you on our channel too. How's that?
There you go.
You get a little art history lesson.
Impressionism, Cubism, Classicism. Classicism, Cubism, Impressionism, Gingerism. Oh, then we need to ask that. I don't know if we have any European folks on
Let's talk about that in a minute with the gingers, and we'll mention that in a minute.
Okay, we have one, Julie saying Cubanism, Gail Classic, LeBlanc Classic, Kim Impression, Carol Impression. I don't have any myself. Cubanism from Minette. Impressionism from Joanne. Janice is classic. Marty's impression. Isn't Cubism newest? That's Rachel. No ideaism. That's Sissy.
So they're watching. They're wanting to know which was first, right?
Which of these is older?
Older. That's what I mean. First.
So it'd be first. It'd be the older one.
Yeah. Okay.
Impressionism. Sylvia's impressionism. Rebecca's classicism.
See, I'm lightening this up in here a little bit. You see this? Just a little bit lighter blue because acrylics dry darker. You guys know that, right? Acrylics dry darker, so we're lightening up a few little feathers. See what that does because of the contrast, like that. Okay. Well, if you think about it, Picasso was one of the founders of Cubism, and he really he was really kind of working around. He died in the 50s, probably in the 1950s, I think, 60s, Picasso. But he was around World War I, World War II.
Okay.
You think about Van Gogh and Monet and those guys, and they were, they don't really have anything older than in the early 1800s, 1810 and back. They're really, late 1800s. So it's got to be, classicism is that kind of what was painted before then. In fact, that's why nobody liked what they did. Nobody liked what those guys did at all.
So you're saying...
I'm going to get some green now going, some pretty bright green.
Oh, change the subject, I see.
Yeah, I'm saying it's classicism was the oldest.
Classicism is the correct answer. If you had classicism, give yourself again 1,000 points.
But I wanted to explain why that was true.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
Now, we're just still layering some of these little feathery things.
A sock folder has alerted me that you have 3 feathers that do not have an eye.
What?
I know. I see one.
Oh, that's almost a game. At this
Yeah.
point, which ones don't have the eye,
I
right?
see 2. I see 3. One got muddy.
Is that what happened? Oh, there's one.
Yep.
Okay, because then you've got to take, now we got to take, now we need to have the white paint, okay, so, white, okay? And then there's got to be a white dot in each eye. Right, like that, too. So
that's how you verify your eyes are there.
And listen, I'm missing
See?
an eye
That's the
right
one.
there,
See?
right? That was a good one. That was good. Good catch, you guys. Okay? So then you start putting the white dots, okay, in each eye. This is kind of fun, isn't it? Because, again, you can make this your own picture. Does that make sense? You can, what I mean? This isn't so, if you're doing our, for instance, like, again, if you're doing the chimpanzee here, then we pretty much got to stay to the script. How's that? We got to stay to the script. But you can get way off script with this and really allow yourself to be very creative. So a painting like this, you really can't say this is right or wrong or something. It's just if it pleases you, you could do it. I think this could be pretty with glitter.
Oh, my.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm saying I think so, but maybe somebody else would. Somebody else said pens. Yes, you definitely could use some pens to do some fun little outlines. Again, little light dot in the eye, like that. I think I got all the little eyes dotted.
No, you're still missing one. You're missing that one, and that goes straight up from there.
Yeah.
Straight up and over to the left. That one there. See, that didn't really have the dark. I think they were counting that as the third one.
Oh, it didn't have a dark. Well, we could just watch us correct that. Let's make it dark. Ooh, too much water. You got to be careful. If you've rinsed your brush, you got to make sure you're wiping it off. That's why we use these towel things. We're not kidding. Got to wipe it off. And if you're going over something wet, because you haven't used the hairdryer, you're just going to touch it like that. Okay. So all right. So far, so good. Okay. Now, oh yeah. Now we got to get into the bright cad reds. Okay. So here's some cad red. Bright cad reds, and let's just come on up here on the neck here like this. Now look what's happening. We're going to add some cad reds. Start adding some bright colors. Like
Make
that,
it pop
because
out.
yeah, make that pop out a little bit. And I think a little bit right here underneath the bottom part of his beak, right like that. Make that pop out. Now, do I need any cad red? Just a touch, maybe somewhere. Not every one, but just, do I need a little cad red now and then? maybe where I've got a lot of yellow. Might add a cad red, just pretty bright. Again, you can just sort of decide how you want to do that. Okay. Now let's see, what else could we do? All right, let's play with our background a little bit, and then we'll put the headdress on. I think this is pretty good. Would we do this in about an hour, right?
Yep.
Almost done with this. I mean, you can get, and again, I want to put some feathers kind of going down this way and overlapping some of these things, so I'll show you that in a minute. But let's take my round brush. And I want to just give this here. Okay, so let's just get enough yellow going in here, kind of a yellow-green color going. There we go. Now look, this is the second. What's neat about this, and you'll see me pinching the brush, what's neat about this is when you're doing a background like this, when you start doing...
Whoa, it's buffering. Wow, it's way down to nothing.
What's buffering?
We've totally lost the feed.
Really? How did that happen?
No idea.
Okay, all right.
I would say something in our Houston area has gone kapooey.
Okay, is everybody gone now? Did we just finish this and this is the end of our picture, or they'll think they'll be
Well,
back?
we can finish it because it's being recorded locally.
What you're not gonna
We can't recover. I mean, it's 160 kilobytes. We're not transmitting.
at all?
No.
Well, we did finish, except for the feathers.
I mean, you can finish it up, and we'll just have to replace it, I'm thinking.
I don't want to replace it. We'll lose all the views.
Well, we'll put it on our website.
Yeah, we'll put it on our
And
website.
just put a note in there that's over on the website.
Yeah, to replace it. I mean, because I don't want to do that. I want to replace it. We lost all the views. But you see how pretty this looks, and then we need to put the... is it not coming back at all? Did everybody go?
No, it's down to 165, and it's just bottomed out.
Really?
165 kilobytes. Yeah.
Really? Oh gosh, that's terrible. Going to do a little more purple right in here like that. A little bit darker purple. Right here on our neck here, just coming around here like this. Okay, there's our peacock neck here like this. And just do a few little peacock feathers here. And I'm just going to go ahead and finish this if you're going to be recording it.
Yeah,
And we'll put it on our website.
It's being recorded.
And again, we're going to just kind of put this through here. How many people did we have before we lost our gang?
Well, we had a peak of 348. I'm not sure what we had. We're at 185. We're still hanging in there.
Well, it probably wasn't, not everybody wants to paint peacocks with feathers, but I think it was fun. So I'm going to just take my back of my little angle brush like this. Curve that around. This is ultramarine blue. This would have been where it would have been cute to do it with do this with a pen, John. This would have been good with a pen.
Yeah. Well, I like the way the brush, the brush leaves a brush trail.
Yeah, it does. Okay.
Whereas a pen is just so sock foldish.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. Okay, so there's our feathers, and then I want to put some little ends on them. Like I said, we got very, very close to, finishing this, let's put our little ends, like I say, our little white ends. And so we're just still recording this, right?
Yeah, as far as I know. And everything's internet-wise out to California. We still have everything should be working, so I have no idea what happened. I just did the speed test.
So is there any chance there's still a feed going on and we're just not aware of it?
No, because I'm watching it too. And the comments are saying they can't get it. And YouTube's come back and said the current stream bit is 160 kilobytes and it's supposed to be 2,500.
All right, do you see how I'm putting a few little white bits in here now like that? Just a few little tiny white feathers like that. Okay. And then I want some white.
That's getting a little bit more contrast, isn't it?
Yeah, so now what I'm doing now is this is kind of the final things. I'm just sort of pinching the brush and putting in. How can we tell them that on on the what in the description?
Yeah, put in the description and then an iCard in the beginning, or you'll have to have something pop
I guess
up.
we could put it on an iCard that we lost the stream at the very end,
Yep.
and that this is over on our website under what, free lessons, right?
Yeah, it'll be a free lesson because it's supposed to be a YouTube. All the YouTube ones will be on our website, will be free. Once I get a chance to get them all over there.
But we could put this in the free lesson part.
Yep. It's just a shame. It was going good and you were down to the final touches.
Yeah, sure were.
And again, this is one reason why we're not going to attempt to go live tomorrow. No telling what's going on tonight. But as far as I can tell, all of our stuff is still putting out proper speeds and everything.
All right, so you can see where I'm just adding, again, the final finishing touches to this. Just a few little white feathers now like this. Again, what makes this painting so fun is it's all the contrast. That's what I think. Anyway, that's what I think makes it fun, like that. All the pretty contrast.
I like the purples you did in the second one versus the first one.
This one, yeah, I do too. I have
Yeah.
a little more purple in this one.
Yeah.
We'll do a little more magenta in here like that. And we want to thank everybody for watching. If you happen to catch this again over on our website, not going to put out any more paint. I do want a little yellow one here though. Do. Okay, I would say that's say we're done. See, I think if you can kind of look, let me just double check and see where I am. They go, don't they? This would have been pretty if this had been faced this one had been facing one direction, one the other.
Oh yeah, that'd been cool.
And then they were just one.
Done a mirror. Let me turn off
Yeah,
this.
wouldn't that be pretty?
Then I'm going to turn off the palette. Give me 1 second so I can get those side by side. I'm going to shrink you down a little bit.
Okay, so that would have been. I think that would have been pretty. Let me just move the
Yeah, get those
water.
stacked up on
Get
top
the
of
water
each
out
other
from
there.
underneath everything. Okay, like that. So I think that I've got the head looking back a little further on this one, which I like a little more than that one. But I think that's a personal, preference. And
It's cute. They're good. It
And-
would have been neat to done a mirrored image of it.
it really would have been if you had one going back. And let me just see a little neat. Let me just kind of pop up the magenta on this one again. Acrylics dry darker. See?
There's really no way to predict that other than make your a color chart and.
Well, yeah, and just depending on how you mix it, they dry darker. So once you know that, if you may want to add like a little bright, lighter pink or something, you can go back and always touch something up. You just don't necessarily have to do it in each place, right? But just in a couple places, just touch something up, like that. Like we did with the red, the cad red. Like we did that. Again, red's one of those colors. If you go over it a second time, it's really happy. Interestingly, here's a little bit of cad red on these. See, a little bit on the headdress here. I had some coming like that. And I had a little bit of that white. And we'll just bring it right in there like that on the eye.
You zoom in on that eye where you do a little bit. Oh, lost my zoomer. Hold on a second.
Did you lose your zoomer?
Yeah, it comes and goes.
Okay.
Because the long cable.
Yeah, but I like all of this in here. I like all these greens in here. I like all the purples in here. There were some real pretty, this is all about just color. And there were some real pretty kind of light blues right in here in this one that I liked.
Mm-hmm.
Up here on the neck, see, right like that. Maybe down in here, just more
Just
of this
don't cover
here.
up those purples. Those purples
Yeah,
are really
I
nice.
don't want to cover up the purples, but maybe more of these turquoise blues. And then there was this dark purple, kind of, you had almost a dark purple outline on the neck like that, which was pretty. And I really quite like that. I think these are pretty how they came out. I hope everybody had fun doing it anyway. And you're right, we were doing so good with the live stream, weren't we?
Yeah, I just got a feeling that celebrations are starting early. I mean, it just plummeted to nothing. And it's not showing me any reason as to why it should be doing this.
Okay.
I
Well,
mean,
we didn't get to
everything's
show
very good.
anybody. Well, I guess we showed the key at the beginning.
Yeah.
What
We
we
didn't
were
get
doing.
to show the lion, though. The lion's really cool.
Well, next time, right?
Yep.
There, okay. It's a little bit of contrast on our feathers. All right, we're just going to call that a thing. Listen, if you were watching us on YouTube and then had to stop, we're sorry. We always like it when we can
Complete a lesson.
complete a lesson. Yeah, let's just get a little bit of dark right like that next to the head.
That's what happens with live, but again, we should be recording this locally, and we're going to upload it to our server and put it onto our website for you to enjoy.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll just take somebody asked about those pens. Let me just sign it with one of these cute little pens I was talking about.
You dried enough down there in the corner?
Yeah, I think I could,
Or you can do it over in the left corner?
I think, yeah, like I did over here. I think that's pretty dry. I can do it right here. Just
hold on a second. We can zoom in down there so we can
yeah,
get
just
you.
show you how I like these pens.
All right, go.
Yeah, so I'm just going to sign right here.
really
Incidentally,
writes
if you're going to
smooth.
frame something, you want at least a finger's width. Did you guys know that? A finger's width above the bottom of the canvas so that your frame is going to come over that far, and you don't want to sign it and then have your frame cover up your signature.
You're a little close on that one then, aren't you?
I'm a little close, yeah.
But that's all right.
All right, so there we go, you guys. There's our happy, colorful Peacocks extravaganza, and we've got some great lessons coming up on YouTube. I want to just say that this is, when are we doing this one?
That's supposed to be the 5th.
This is going to be released. This is going to be released on the 5th on YouTube channel. This is another one of our lovely old dead artists that painted this originally, and I show you a little small one, how to paint figures in a seascape, and this is a cool painting. So I hope you guys enjoy that, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.